Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I sought to understand the questions and the concerns that people bring me. Hi everyone, today I'm here with William Tang, a fifth-year MD PhD student at the University of Utah. William Tang, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is William. I'm starting my fifth year in the MD PhD at the University of Utah. I'm in the microbiology and immunology department, and right now I'm doing cancer immunology is what I'm studying right now. So
Nice. So for today's video, I'm going to be asking you a couple of questions to kind of illustrate your path so far. So number one, what made you want to do a dual degree?
I've always loved science, just like knowing how things worked, how things fit together, but especially biology. So that was kind of my introduction to science, and then kind of what got me interested in medicine. This is a fairly common kind of reason, but just family loss. Just my grandparents who helped raise me, spent a lot of time with them. Most of them died of cancer, and so that kind of sparked that curiosity of medicine and health. And reading textbooks and seeing for the first time a Taiwanese scientist in my textbook who won a Nobel Prize, Roger Hsien, the man who discovered GFP, kind of really inspired me and kind of showed me like, someone who looks like me can kind of attain this kind of this huge accomplishment.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what got me into science.
Okay, number two, what activities did you highlight on your application?
I really highlighted the things that meant the most to me.
Okay.
The things I stuck with, the things that spoke to me, and that I just really had a passion for. So the first one was Model United Nations.
I do that one.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's where a bunch of poli-sci nerds essentially get together, and they pretend they're in the UN, and they represent different committees, and they talk about policy, right?
Yeah.
And with that one, I was always thrown into the WHO, being the bio major. I knew health a little bit better than most of the poli-sci people, and so I was always just lumped into that camp. Yeah. Or like crisis committees, those were always fun.
Yeah.
And then, so that was one of them. And it was actually that got me interested in infectious disease, because, learning about WHO policies and just kind of understanding kind of global burden of diseases, things that I've never seen growing up or understood, like what's happening outside of North America.
Okay. So the third question is, when you were doing your MD PhD interviews, what was kind of like the demeanor you had?
Yeah, so I was actually pretty nervous because it was actually the second time I applied in the med school cycles that I applied to the MD PhD programs. I initially only applied to med school.
Really?
And I didn't fare so well. I only got one interview in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and the interview didn't go well. So then I applied the next cycle, and this time had a really close buddy of mine. He was also one of my research mentors, really smart guy. He's like, you really love science and you seem like you're good at it. You should apply to the MD PhD program. And I was really intimidated by the numbers, because my numbers were good enough for the med school applications, but they seemed subpar for the MD PhD programs across the country. And so I was like thinking, oh man, I didn't get in the first round. Why would I make things harder for myself? And then my PI was like, William, you're good at research and you love this. Like, you should really give it a shot. Just why not? Just throw your hat into the ring and just see what happens, right? So then I applied to pretty much only MD PhD programs the second time. And I wasn't very hopeful about getting interviews, but this time, I got 4 interviews. I was surprised, but I think the research aspect really stood out to them, because that was something I was very passionate about and put a lot of time and effort into. And so going back to the interviews, I was nervous, and so I just tried to prepare, just really put my best foot forward, and just kind of show people who I was, because that's kind of the purpose of these interviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your foot's already kind of in the door once you get the interviews. So
True. Okay, number 4. Did you go straight to your MD, PhD, or did you do a post-bac?
yeah, I didn't do a post-bac. I just did my thing. I did research. I started volunteering in Mexico with one of my best buddies.
How long were you in Mexico?
I was in San Diego, so I would go every month.
Oh.
Yeah, it was only like a 40-minute drive to Tijuana, so it was really close.
Really?
It's easy to volunteer there. I still support this Casa Hogar, but that kind of just tied everything together, right? My involvement in Model UN, kind of traveling a little bit, and then doing infectious disease research.
That'd be a really fun paper to write, like your statement.
But that's the thing, right? I think if you just do what you're passionate about, it just kind of shows, right?
Yeah, it'll come together itself.
Yeah.
The 5th question is, what do you think made your application competitive?
My research. Because I had, I think, a few papers out, maybe one review article and first author paper and some other co-author papers.
What was your first author paper on?
I developed a mouse model of sexual transmission for Zika virus.
Really? That one's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 6th question is, when you were looking at MD, PhD programs, what were you looking for specifically in the program?
Good science, good place to live, and, just a reputable institution.
So number 7, how do you manage work and life?
I feel like a chicken without a head sometimes, so honestly, I just, there's nights where you just gotta stay up and just, work a little extra, where you just have to kind of work around things and just make time for things that are important for you, right? Like family's important.
Yeah.
Family's always important, at least to me. I haven't figured out the perfect balance, but it's getting better.
Number 8, how did you decide a medical and research interest, which you kind of already explained?
Yeah. Medicine's always been intriguing to me, and so is research.
Number 9, how did you pick a lab mentor?
That was really difficult. I did 3 rotations, and so I just try to, pick labs where I could see myself really thriving, and just a field of study that I just felt like medicine or research was going towards, and just mentors that I felt like, I really got along with, like I could sit down with them and, hang out with them and honestly, just have a good relationship with them. And so I had 3 great rotations, and it was honestly really hard to pick. It really came down to just pulling hairs, Like it was a tough choice.
Okay, number 10, what's your plan after the MD, PhD?
So I really want to do a physician scientist training program. So kind of the traditional track, so to speak, where you do residency and fellowship and research fellowship combined track. So you do all of them integrated together.
Really?
So my understanding of it is they kind of take a little bit of time off of each piece, like residency and fellowship, and give you kind of dedicated research time to really establish your research career.
Okay, so before we end, is there any final words you have? Any advice?
Not so much. Just honestly, having that good support system's critical for success. But besides that, just kind of following your heart and your passions, at least for me, has really brought me to this stage. And I feel like a lot of times people forget to do that.
Yeah.
They get caught up in, for example, pre-med requirements, filling in all the check boxes. But honestly, you have to fill in those check boxes. But honestly, when you kind of follow your heart and your passions, it kind of guides you down the right path. And I feel like a lot of times people take different paths to the same place, right? So that would kind of be my parting advice.
I love that. If that's all, I just really want to thank you again for joining me. Your insight has been really valuable.
Oh, thank you.